study-based session on environmental monitoring systems. It is often viewed as routine, yet it has a direct bearing on product quality and patient safety. Through multiple EMS case studies, this session highlights common discrepancies, integration challenges, and practical lessons. And for this session, I now invite Dr. Subodh Kulkarni to please join us. Let's learn from him. He is Head Training and Delivery at Edorian Skill Development, having more than 34 years of high caliber experience in leading R&D organizations in life sciences sector. He has a proven expertise in technical training, application support, and business development across global organizations. Welcome, sir. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Swati. And thanks, everyone. You know, this is a difficult part of the entire day, that I am standing between you and your lunch. You will have to bear with me, right? You cannot avoid me, and I will utilize it to the fullest opportunity of mine. I mean, jokes apart, I'll try to keep it as crisp as possible, and let us try to understand what exactly people are doing and how things are happening. There are many things in pharmaceutical industry where we are doing certain things because historically people have been doing it, right? Many of the cultures what we have in pharma are primarily because somebody at some point of time has done it and we are still using it. I'll share a simple story over here. This story goes back to some monastery in Nepal, where there was a culture of tying a cat to the tree and then meditating. So people were like finding a cat, tying to a tree and then meditating. When somebody like us went there and tried to investigate what exactly has happened, then they realized maybe say a couple of decades back, there was a head saint or head monk who loved a cat. So the cat was a part of that particular team and people used to peacefully meditate. So over a period of time, the cat died, the monk died, the new monk came in, a new cat was there which was not pally with that new monk, so he tied the cat to that and they did meditation. Again generations passed, the new monk like me visited the place and he said that we can't meditate today. Why? Sir, we don't have a cat. Cross your hearts, ladies and gentlemen. How many of such processes we have in pharma where we are still searching for a cat and we are still not able to do certain things? I have been fortunate enough to work on the other side of the pharma, and I was fortunate enough to work with a company which was selling monitoring systems. It is very easy to talk. It is very easy to talk about big things in pharmaceutical, this regulation, that regulation, we should be doing that, we should be doing this, but ultimately, trust me, many a times we are searching a cat to tie to a tree to do our jobs. Environmental monitoring is also a similar thing. Many a times we face issues which are hypothetical. When we do it into practical, when we really want to do it, we realize, oh, we actually tried to overshoot. We actually tried to say that we could do better. We actually tried to set a limit which is very difficult to achieve, and today we are struggling to achieve that particular limit. There are many cases. I had an opportunity to work with Indian pharma companies, I had an opportunity to work with foreign pharma companies. One thing I must share on this particular dais is the amount of stress what our Indian pharma companies are facing are far less than the people working in any other pharmaceutical company across the globe. We are running on a very tight rope. We want to prove efficiency. We are trying to push the equipment to a certain level that then it breaks down. We are so particular about the cost of the production, lesser the production. People always say cheap and best. Ladies and gentlemen, either it is cheap or either it is best. We cannot have this type of concept in pharma where we could have a cheapest of the resources and produce the expensive of the product, because both are correlated. The quality of that particular product depends upon the quality of the raw material, quality of the equipment, quality of the people, quality of the software. Everything what goes in needs to be of that particular quality. Then you can assure, you can cross your heart and say, yes, this is particular. So what do we do in environmental monitoring is basically sampling air, surfaces, personal utility, water, gases, control area, whatnot. So whatever which doesn't go into the product becomes the environment and we try to monitor. I can share one simple example when I was working for a company called Ziltrix. There were equipments across the lab. Equipments from reputed companies like Thermo, Shimatsu, you name it. A top brand company equipments are there. Now these particular equipment, they don't talk with the laboratory information system for a simple reason is that they have different technology. Their interface is different. Laboratory management system is different. It talks a different language. So you need to have a converter and then to prove to people that this converter is giving the same language or the same input as the equipment which is not altered at any point of time. We all know. I used to carry 4 chargers for mobiles, for 4 different mobiles. It took 10-15 years for somebody to realize that goddamn mobiles are the same. The carbon footprint is not because of the mobile, but the 4 chargers what we are carrying, we need to have a uniform charger for a particular mobile. We realized this problem when we wanted to integrate a warehouse into the laboratory information system or whatever you might call it, where they wanted to integrate the data of that particular warehouse and have actionable points into it. Can I have water, please? So why do we need to do? We need to do it for a simple person because there are various particles, there are cleaning happening and there is air handling and there are a lot of temperature variations and too many things are variable over there, so you need to monitor. How do we do it? Simple. You want to monitor temperature, probes, particles, particle counter, and data loggers and so on and so forth. We were probably first of the batch of the people who wanted to do certain things and then realized that they had simple solutions for that. Now, when you install a monitoring system for a particular lab, you have 2 values. One value which is recorded, one value which is shown onto the equipment. Now we need to understand, if I go to a company like Thermo and say that, hey look, your thermometer is showing or your probe is showing a different temperature, my probe is showing a different temperature, then they would obviously say this is what it is. We need to understand that these are very simple things which we need to consider while designing a particular system, that if somebody is selling us an equipment, an incubator or a refrigerator or a freezer, they will place the sensor into the most possible, most suitable or the most convenient point in that particular entire and they will reflect that particular temperature. Is it correct? Over a period of time, yes. And also no, because that is not the reflective temperature of the entire equipment what we are talking. That's why we do validations at the back. Now when we are integrating this particular system, you can utilize this in a very simple thing, validate the equipment, find out the warm spot or hot spot, put 2 sensors, take out that particular sensor. Some of the companies I have also seen that they black out the temperature display because it will result in confusion in recording or monitoring the temperature by the user and by the equipment. Either you believe the user or you believe the equipment which is monitoring and recording all that stuff. Now a simple logic, simple experiment what we did. I'm going to my next slide. For product and process monitoring also there are various checks. We all know we are sitting over here, we are actually using multiple softwares for that. And as somebody said in the morning, they work in different silos. There are certain equipment, as I said, that they can't talk to that particular information system, they cannot record, so you will have to have a converter and again go back. It's a whole mess out of it. Somewhere, some engineer needs to put their foot down and say, hey look, when we are accessing data, let's have uniformity at the place where the equipment, the generation, the data is easy to be integrated at various places. We still agree various inputs which are offline and online and so on and so forth. We just heard one particular talk where there was a big question of during this particular lapse of say your network issue, the data what was generated, whether to accept it or not to accept it and so on and so forth. We worked way back then and we realized that each particular sensor, what we put into the equipment, need to have a patch memory which can hold the data for a couple of hours inside and which will replicate at the equipment. So even if the connection is lost for an hour, you still have accurate data stored at which cannot be manipulated by anybody. There are various modern tools available today. IT, cloud platforms, this and that. End of the day, it should be repeatable. You should exhibit that it is validatable, and you should prove that it cannot be tampered at any point of time. As long as you have, then I think we are working with the right system and all. Now, whenever we feel sick, we go to a hospital. Why do we go to a hospital? For a simple reason is that entire body is being monitored, right? And somebody is there to look whether the parameters are in that particular sense, and somebody is there to check and come back to us if the parameters vary, give the medication at the right time. So when we think about a monitoring system, when we think about a data integrity at a particular place, we need to think about a system which not only monitors, records, but it also sends alarms at the same point and escalates it over a period of time. In one instance where we were installing one temperature sensor in one incubator, the incubator alarm was going on and off. Now people didn't understand what was the reason, was the equipment or was the room or was the user. Then we said only equipment should not do. You should also monitor the temperature of that particular room. You can correlate and then you can address to that particular specific problem. I'll come back to it later. How do we need to integrate certain things which are complicated? Data communication, real time with wireless or wired based upon your equipment. There are advantages of each. If it is a small room, wireless will do. If it's a huge room, then there is an issue of losing the data at a particular point, wired will be much particular better. I was of opinion that wireless you can extend to very beautiful facilities, which are bigger facilities, but I was wrong because you need repeaters and there becomes a lot of complicated stuff while going in. You need to know that you should have a limit to scalability. If I want to add like 1,000 sensors today, my system should be able to do that without changing anything. I just need to add certain ports and it should be done. Multiple locations, fair enough, you can do that. And can it be connected to a centralized server? Obviously, yes, you need to have a centralized server. And you can have real-time alarms with detailed SMS and email and telephone messages. Trust me, it works. We did it for a poultry where they wanted to measure the percentage of ammonia in air. And this particular poultry, during night times, the ammonia generation was more, so it was connected to the exhaust. The moment the ammonia reaches a particular day, the exhaust gets on, the fresh air comes in and the ammonia level goes down. And the increase in ammonia levels in a particular poultry can result in 25% reduction of hatchlings at a particular. We visited a particular facility, a biologics facility, where they used to store their cryovials in liquid nitrogen cans. And these liquid nitrogen cans, for obvious reasons, were kept into cold rooms. And the cold room, trust me, how many of us might have visited a cold room? There are many things sitting in the cold room. Your reagents, your cryo cans, your test cells, and your everything is sitting into the particular cold room, cold sensitive material. How many of us know that liquid nitrogen also evaporates, and in cold room it also evaporates, and nitrogen gets into that particular breathable range? If you are working alone, if you are entering the cold room, if liquid nitrogen cans are present, please ask somebody to watch you out, because if you don't come out of in 5 minutes, you need to call for an ambulance. Nitrogen comes out, comes into the breathable range, and within no time you will go into coma. So we had placed an oxygen sensor in cold rooms, which might have saved a couple of lives by now. Why monitoring is required? Because if you monitor something, if there is a change, then you can alter, you can act upon, you can increase or decrease and maintain that particular value what you are looking at, if it is a temperature or CO2 or whatever, humidity, what you actually can work upon and maintain those particular lines. We all know that Excel sheets don't comply with 21 CFR, so having Excel sheets is of no use unless and until you have a software design for it. Cleaning validation is one of those particular things where many people fail upon getting the correct data, and at some point of time, as somebody said in the morning, that I forgot the value of the normality and the entire stuff goes for a toss. So if you have a software which can store cleaning validations by taking in certain inputs from equipment, then trust me, it will have added advantage when you go further. Heat tunnel, this was one of the classic examples while we were working in a company in Bangalore. They had a tunnel, they had actual sensors placed into it, and they were facing problems of their wires getting cracked at a particular point. As a third party, they said that we wanted to understand why it is happening, and we want a monitoring system which will alert if there is any change, they can stop that particular, rectify it and move further. Trust me, there was not much problem in that particular. The sensors what they placed, many of the companies, they don't place a good PT100 solution sensors with the copper wiring. They work upon some cheaper stuff for obvious reasons. So we bought in one of the top of the line sensors, put it at various places, gave it a positive and a negative alarm. So the moment it reaches, it beeps, somebody needs to slow down or increase the speed of the tunnel, and trust me, till now, they haven't faced that problem again in life. So heat distribution, we all know, many tunnels people use it for deparylation, sterilization, and there are many inconsistencies in terms of the temperature variations at various points. So what you need to do is, you need to have a mechanism of a monitoring system where you can control and you can actually get an alarm much before things are happening, so that you can prevent heavy losses at a particular point. Warehouse challenges. Now, not many people think that warehouses are also very important in their day-to-day lives, because huge rooms, multiple storage here and there, and trust me, an ideal job for people who are selling monitoring systems like I used to do in my past. Because there are a lot of variations, you can also see the variations being passed on into your products at a later point of time. So when we mapped the warehouse at a factory at Mumbai, we realized that there were some cold spots and hot spots, and the sun was rising from this side to that side. So by the time it goes to the evening, the temperature of this particular zone was getting more. The sensors were placed on that side, so we just changed or swapped the sensor to the hottest part, and the system was solved. But since we were from monitoring system, we added few more sensors to it and said that we will have an additional checklist. So a temperature in that particular zone, if it reaches 2 degrees beyond, then the AC should get on. That information was given to that controlling panel, and now that system is working up and fine and running. No hot and cold spots in those particular. So cleaning validation, as I said, if you have a software which can generate and which can integrate, that would be really ideal, because many of people are facing these problems in nowadays. So coming to what we do, just 2 minutes I will take time. What we do right now, right here, over here is, we at Endurance, we have almost 16 years of skill development in pharma. We have top of the line people who have worked in pharma, have a lot of experience. We have training centers across India for this particular thing. We have tied up with Life Science Sector Council. We are their knowledge partner. My colleague Mr. Amar is sitting over here. Right? We do train students at free of cost as a corporate social responsibility. Thanks to companies like NATCO, Cohance, they have actually helped in building small centers in small towns where students are trained about pharma at a very young age. So at Endurance, we are tied up with FDA and PDA at various levels. My colleagues are on board for various regulators, and they do run the business in sterile. I take care of the non-sterile business or the non-PDA business of Endurance, where we are helping people to actually make villagers or empower the underprivileged to take up pharma at a point. When I was studying my graduation, pharma was not on my list till I come to my graduation. At least now, if we take one step ahead and ensure that the kids are told that pharma is also lucrative, then probably we will have one of the best pharmacies, one of the best things coming in the future, and we are actually helping them. So we have some of the skill development centers, some are in plan and coming in the future. What we do is train students on pharma. Any student with chemistry background, 90 days, it is free of cost for the students. We don't charge anything over there. So this was inaugurated in Akkuru near Vijayawada. So it was inaugurated by our Chief Minister, Mr. Naidu, and it was really fantastic that he interacted with many of us and gave good feedback about that. So these are the classrooms, these are the skill sets what we train. So the next generation of people who are being trained in pharma are basically being taught about, first thing, that do what you want to do, but as per the protocols, SOPs and all. So these people are fearless. They will not be hesitant to say that this is wrong, this has not been done, and they will raise their hands and they will come forward. So hopefully we are training the next generation of pharma leaders in our capacity, and we will ensure that we will continue our journey of training and giving away our expertise to students whenever it comes. Thank you. Thank you so much for your patience here. And I really appreciate your patience, because I was standing between you and your classes. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dr. Subodh. Quickly, we learned about environmental monitoring systems during this presentation. I would request Praveen Vijay sir to please come and present the memento, Dr. Subodh. Now I am standing between you and your lunch. So I would not take much time. Request you to please join us